I learned something strange about this building on my very first night. The elevator doesn't make noise when it arrives. No rumble. No cables. No mechanical whine. It just appears open. At first, I thought I had missed the sound. But after a while, I realized something worse. It never opens during the day. Only at midnight. And only when the hallway is empty. No one sees it arrive. No one sees anyone step out. But sometimes, when everything else is silent, I can hear something inside. Not footsteps. Something softer. Like small hands brushing against metal walls. As if someone is checking whether the doors will close. I told myself it was just an old building. I told myself that right up until the night it opened for me. It was my first day in apartment 7B. My entire life was still in boxes, stacked like walls around me. I was sitting on the floor building a cheap desk lamp, trying to make the place feel less temporary. Less empty. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows. Inside, the silence felt padded, thick, like the building was asleep. When I looked at the clock, it was almost midnight. I remember yawning. I remember thinking I should go to bed. Then I heard it. A soft chime from the hallway. Clear. Gentle. Mechanical. An elevator bell. I waited for footsteps. Voices. A door opening. Nothing happened. Curiosity pulled me to the front door before I could talk myself out of it. When I opened it, the hallway stretched out empty, warm lights humming quietly above. At the far end, the elevator doors were open. The light inside was on. No one was there. I stood there longer than I meant to, listening for any sign of movement. There was nothing. After a while, the doors closed on their own. The floor indicator above them flickered once, then went dark, as if the elevator had forgotten where it was supposed to be. I told myself it was normal. Old building. Old wiring. Still. I locked my door that night. Morning made everything feel ridiculous. Sunlight poured through the hallway windows, warming the floors, waking the building back into something ordinary. I met one of my neighbors on my way out, an elderly woman watering a neat row of potted plants. She welcomed me kindly, like I had lived there for years. I almost didn't ask about the elevator. Almost. The moment I mentioned it, her watering can tipped too far. Water spilled across the floor. She laughed, but it sounded rehearsed. Fragile. Then she gave me advice that felt strangely serious for such a casual conversation. Try not to be in the hallway after midnight. She didn't explain why. She didn't need to. When I glanced toward the elevator, she wasn't looking at me anymore. She was looking at it. That night, I couldn't sleep. The clock felt louder than usual, every second scratching at the silence. When it turned to 11:59, I found myself sitting upright in bed, listening. Midnight passed. Nothing happened. I almost laughed at myself. Then the bell rang again. This time it sounded closer. Clearer. As if the hallway had moved nearer to my door. I opened it wider than before. The elevator was open. But something was different. The light inside looked dim, tinted green, like it was shining through deep water. The space inside felt wrong, too. Deeper than it should have been. Like the back wall had moved away. I stepped into the hallway, telling myself I would only look. The air was colder out there. When I reached the elevator, I saw my reflection in the mirror at the back. Pale. Tired. I leaned forward slightly. And my reflection followed a fraction of a second too late. I stepped back immediately. The light flickered. The doors began to close. I jumped away just in time. Above the doors, the floor display lit up. 13. The building only had 10 floors. The next day, I searched everything I could find about the building. Most of it was boring. Renovations. Ownership changes. Permit records. Then I found the article. A fire, decades ago. Faulty wiring. Late at night. Families escaped, but some children were trapped in an elevator that stopped working during evacuation. The shaft collapsed before rescuers could reach them. Their bodies were never recovered. There was a photograph attached. Children standing outside the building, smiling at the camera. Behind them, the elevator doors. Every one of them looking straight at it. That night, I waited by my door before midnight. I told myself I just wanted to see it open again. When the bell rang, I opened the door immediately. It felt like it had been waiting. I don't remember deciding to step inside. One moment I was standing there, the next I was in the elevator, watching the hallway disappear as the doors closed. The control panel wasn't right. No numbers. No labels. Just blank circles, as if the buttons had been worn smooth by years of use. The elevator started moving. Down. Faster than any elevator should move. The lights flickered violently. Wind held upward through invisible cracks. I held the railing just to stay upright. In the mirror behind me, someone was standing there. Small. I turned around. No one. When I looked back, the figure was closer. The elevator stopped so suddenly my knees nearly gave out. When the doors opened, I thought I had returned to my floor. But everything was wrong. The hallway looked the same, but abandoned. Wallpaper peeling. Ceiling cracked. Dust floating like ash in still air. There was no sound. Not even the hum of electricity. Behind me, the elevator remained open, glowing like the only living thing in a dead place. Then I heard it. Soft laughter. Children's laughter. Too quiet. Too distant. Too wrong. A rubber ball rolled out of the darkness and stopped at my feet. No one was there to push it. At least, not that I could see. Shapes began to form at the far end of the corridor. Small shapes. Walking toward me. They came slowly, as if they were unsure I would stay. 3 at first. Then more behind them. Their clothes looked old, soot-stained, slightly torn. Their faces were pale, but calm. Too calm. They stopped a few steps away from me, simply watching. One of them stepped forward and held something out. A piece of an elevator panel. Most of it was broken, except for one button. Home. I understood something then, though I didn't know how. They weren't trying to scare me. They were trying to keep me. Images rushed through my mind that weren't mine. Smoke filling a small metal room. Children crying. Hands pounding on doors that wouldn't open. The long, endless wait for rescue that never came. They had been trapped between floors. Forgotten. The air around me felt colder with every passing second. Then I heard another bell. Behind me, the elevator had reappeared. Inside it was my hallway, warm, intact, alive. An exit. Something tugged at my sleeve. A small boy, his eyes wide and desperate. He didn't look angry. He looked terrified. The kind of fear that comes from being left behind. I wanted to stay. Not because I was brave, but because leaving felt like abandoning them all over again. But I knew I couldn't. I stepped backward toward the elevator. None of them tried to stop me. They just watched. As if they already knew what I would do. The doors closed, sealing them into darkness once more. As the elevator moved, their faces faded until there was nothing left to see. When the doors opened again, sunlight flooded in. Morning. My hallway. Normal. I collapsed against the wall, shaking so badly I could barely breathe. I had made it back. Days passed. Then weeks. The elevator never opened at midnight again. I started to believe it had all been some kind of waking nightmare. Until one night, I woke just before midnight for no reason at all. The clock ticked past 12. Nothing happened. I almost laughed. Then I heard something in the hallway. Not a bell. A whisper. Soft. Childlike. Patient. I opened my door slowly. The elevator stood open. Inside, they were all there. Waiting. Not angry. Not sad. Just certain. I remembered what I had promised. And suddenly I understood. Some doors don't open to let you escape. Some doors open to let you return. One of them raised a small hand, not waving goodbye. Waving hello. And this time, the elevator wasn't empty.